Good morning, fellow Ambazonians.
Capo Daniel, Capo Daniel.
I bring una revolutionary greetings. Today, na number 26th day for this month for September 2023. This one na a special edition of our podcast. Today, we go focus on the international engagement for the Ambazonian liberation struggle. Fellow good people of Ambazonia across the globe, the Ambazonian liberation struggle it go on for 7 years and would get a very big diplomatic push. And since this our struggle na a collective one, that means say all man it get a part for play and need for brief una very detailedly about the international engagement for our struggle, the history, the current state, and the future for waiting for expect them. A lot of people they don't ask waiting mean with a push them for the Ambazonian People's Right Advocative Platform. Me as the chairman yesterday we don't get a very strategic meeting, things that they move for the right position, and I go to brief the Ambazonian people. But it be very important, make our people them know the various international partners, international communities, the various countries them for the war, their position vis-a-vis this particular crisis will the fight for our right of self-determination. It will give our people them the power for be able to make up their mind on waiting for follow them during this struggle. Because our rhetorics and the dominant ideology within our struggle, it will determine the future of our struggle. Yes, the international community, they need just to listen, research as them, then be died focused listening to way Ambazonia they do on WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, they monitor them and it be very, very determined factor on how would it go forward. So I go help for brief una, make I not digress too much. Forgive una the reason why would I push all this issue them for una for empower our people, because they talk say people they die because of lack of knowledge. So I want to empower our people with the right knowledge for them for know way it happen. I be the most credible Ambazonian activists and leadership way they out here. Where I be embedded with our soldiers, I be part of every organization, I don't represent our struggle at the highest level. Meeting government officials, attending private and big meeting them for representing our struggle. So I be in the best position for inform our people them, waiting for expect and wait it don't happen. So make gonna count on that very much. Without much ado, since 2018, the American government it don't be the biggest component for push for internationalization and international response for our crisis. When the ambassador be indict Paul Biya's regime for using gunship, using target killing, and gross human rights violation as a response to a legitimate cry for our people as a result of the marginalization and the francophonization of the Anglophone segment. So the American government it be the champion for the backbone of international outcry. Most countries they take their queer. That means when America talks on thing, most countries they align themselves for the American policy, and it affect global mindset because America be the most credible government, then get the highest intelligence network. So way they talk and it always taken very seriously for the international war. So I go straight for give una exactly what will happen. In the beginning of this struggle, the international community, they were 100% clear on their position. They were all against Paul Biya's war in Ambazonia. They all condemned Paul Biya's reaction to what Ambazonians were demanding. They were all sure that Ambazonians' demands were in line with international law. So Ambazonian crisis is an internationally recognized crisis. The United Nations it don't declare a humanitarian crisis. It don't make a humanitarian declaration for Ambazonia where it don't make an international crisis where the international community, the United Nations and various organs them then get right for intervene within our crisis. But you need to know how the international community they work, the different positions them for you to be able for no way to way it happen. So I go talk for our language, the first language for Ambazonia, Pidgin language. So una listen very well. You get two country them where they be done push Ambazonia and struggle, make it go for the United Nations Security Council. Now the biggest body, the most powerful body and authority for the whole globe. That means say for the war order where they now. War order just simply means say how you don't put in for order. Any law now an order. Means some people and if you say order means na on a society thing. It like when you talk to society. For man way you know already understand English, you go feel say society means in a Ngambe place. No, for the war order, you give it to they call them rule base. For the war, the biggest authority is there for the United Nations, their Security Council. Two permanent member them, they be done push, say meet the United Nations Security Council, meet and discuss Ambazonia and their issue. The American government and the British government, they be done push them off for day, but it will get a lot of resistance. So I will tell now exactly which way happen. For 2019, the African Union, it make first statement about this our war, where he talks say he accept and he welcome the Swiss mediation. That means that they be endorse the Swiss process. For 2019 for November, the Commonwealth be sent representative, the highest representative, when at the Secretary General Patricia Scotland, where he also engage with the Cameroon government and he call for any for a direct peace process, international peace process for this crisis. For European Union, they will be one of the first and earliest organization where it talk about our struggle. We put out a international statement and a declaration. It be happen for June for 2018. Shortly after they began declare a humanitarian crisis by the United Nations. Usually, this declaration for a humanitarian crisis, United Nations, the way it work now say, now the various countries, the way they do for the United Nations, they use those declarations them like a tool. They pick up interest for those declarations before they act upon them. If no country no act, then all the declaration then be useless. So after they make the declaration of humanitarian crisis, that means say the war, the fit go now for donate money for help refugee them and for address me Red Cross, it come and all those people them. Now the European Union, it will be the first state. You know, say European Union, it is a country. Now a country also where it belong to all the various international countries the way they for the EU. So for June 2018, the European Union they accept and they be support the declaration where they be make by the United Nations, and then they be send their high representative Federica Mogherini, make it come for inside Cameroon for come meet up the president for Cameroon for talk about say the need for solve this Anglophone problem as they call them. This high representative where it be talk on behalf of the European Union, it will be very clear on which way it be talk It be talk say the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon have created unacceptable number of victims as well as enormous human and material damages. It blame the Cameroon media and politicians them for inciting the Cameroon military operation them using hate speech. His position will be very clear. It no be blame Ambazonia. It be put the blame totally on La Republique and their politicians them, and hate speech against Ambazonians them. Paul Biya regime they be reject everything where it be talk Finally, is make a submission for the European Parliament where them pass a motion, a resolution concerning our territory. The resolution passed by the European Parliament. It called for an investigation for possible war crimes committed by the Cameroon military in our territory. It called for the Cameroon government for use military trial on civilians in Francophone courts for Anglophones them where they need to understand French. And the resolution, it talks say if the Cameroon government solve the problem, make them table the problem for the United Nations Security Council. So me the European country them push them for United Nations Security Council for place where if it take decision about the crisis where it go concern the sovereignty of Cameroon. In case we not be forget, the Cameroon, their parliament, they be react swiftly with their president for Senate, Mased Nyat Njifani. It be called this declaration as a litany of falsehood. So just in case I don't forget from my note, the United Nations Declaration of a Humanitarian Crisis for inside our territory will be made on May 30th, 2018. So person fit check and for any man way the one verify the information. May 30th, they be declare humanitarian crisis. Important thing when they declare humanitarian crisis, now say wait to be the legal ramification. Now say the United Nations itself, they take the responsibility for the safety of civilians in southern Cameroon, and also can take intervention action against both warring parties. That means say when this humanitarian declaration it can be made, the United Nations, if it take action against Ambazonia and if it take action against Cameroon for stop the humanitarian crisis. Humanitarian crisis means a refugee they run, people they no fit live in safety, life it then become at a complete stop. So they need for take action, they will solve this problem. And that action means say they go take action against Cameroon or against Ambazonia. For November 20th, 2018, the United Nations it condemned the Ambazonian side for adopting, that means of kidnapping, for attacking schools, and for killing people them without trial. That means say extrajudicial execution. Since the declaration for that humanitarian declaration, no tangible action be taken until February 2019, where Andrela Biochi, where he been at the UN representative of humanitarian coordination for Cameroon, he come out, he talks that these crises have become the forgotten crisis, where it can be absent from the agenda from states and for United Nations. It prompts the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, for step in, and he talks that there is still a chance, they still give Cameroon government a chance for try for solve the problem. Cameroon government will be wise and they be jump inside for make the grand national dialogue, because there be the fear reaction me no go for the Security Council. Anyway, I go take country by country their position them for this struggle, make our people then know. And this is also based on inquiry from ground zero for people who don't know what is happening in the corridors of diplomacy, because for Ambazonia all things are taboo. They know the feel say what people then get that dignity for know it to happen. Anything I say, everything is sacred. You fight for people their behalf, you negotiate for their behalf, you engage in diplomacy for their behalf, yet they brief them for which way it happen. So I go start for the African country them and the position the way they don't take them for this struggle. The first one are Chad. Chad, their president, it is support the Cameroon government, their action them against Ambazonia. They be allow Chadian soldier they made the enter for Cameroon for February 2018, very early on in this struggle, and those Chadian troops them they be spotted for March 2019 within Cameroon Ambazonian territory. For Egypt Iran voiced support publicly and privately through diplomatic channel for support the grand national dialogue. Egypt now the only country for the world where support that grand national dialogue with official diplomatic communique. For Equatorial Guinea, the president for Equatorial Guinea for 2018, for January, he be called for dialogue as the best way for end the crisis. But when they be want for push the crisis for the United Nations Security Council, Equatorial Guinea, they be vote against the attempt for the Americans and the British people for push this problem for the United Nations Security Council. But for December 2019, the president Obienga Guema, he be put out diplomatic cable for call for international assistance for both sides, for Ambazonia and for La Republique, for help the two sides meet and go towards negotiation. Ethiopia, we are a non-permanent member. When I not say country, then they are a non-permanent member for Security Council. We are an African country them also. So now why don't I hear about them their own record where they don't leave them about our struggle. For Ethiopia, we are a non-permanent member. Ethiopia to be vote against the submission of our problem for the Security Council. For Ghana, we know say the Cameroon government it be done falsified document them for sure say Ghanaian weapon them, they supply weapon them right from Ghana to Ambazonia, and they be use those fake things them. Anyway, this is out of the topic. For deceive the Ghanaian government, say Ghanaian weapons that they be found inside Ambazonia, and they be paved the way for Ghanaians, their big MP, their member of parliament, Alben Kang, depart for come meet up Paul Biya for get a discussion, for talk about them, and he be lead for the arrest of Comrade Ebenezer Akwanga, and a brief detention and eventual release by the Ghanaians Bureau of National Investigation. But those cases, I think, were closed. So Ghana, their position, it don't always be a friendly one to Cameroon, but he never ever stand against Ambazonia. For Ivory Coast, where he be also a non-permanent member for the Security Council, Ivory Coast also they be vote against the attempt for submit the problem for Ambazonia for the United Nations Security Council. And he also called for peaceful resolution of the crisis. For Nigeria, during the time of Buhari, Nigeria he be signed documents with Cameroon, with the president of Cameroon, for fight against Ambazonian within Nigerian territory, and collaborating with the Cameroon military also for deport Seseko Ayok Tabi, the president of the interim government, together with his staff member, the way they be kidnapped them for inside Nigeria. The Nigerian federal government then be against the Ambazonian struggle during the Buhari government, but there are all signs that those collaboration had come to an end even before Buhari left power. No Ambazonian fighter never be transferred for Cameroon military, even when they identify them as Ambazonian fighters. Just the last year before Buhari, the one come out. And the new president for Nigeria, he actually be against Cameroon. They don't stop collaboration for demarcate the border. He don't take action for target Cameroon smuggling of petrol from Bakassi into Cameroon land. So the situation have completely changed across the board in Nigeria. For South Africa are the biggest enemy for Ambazonia. For May 2019, as a non-permanent member for the Security Council, South Africa be vehemently oppose the United States of America and their European Union, their alliance with the ones submit the case for the Security Council. They be take a strong stand against them. They be even be vocal about them, and they be make a statement. Say the problem within the Anglophone region no be the responsibility for the United Nations for handle them. But however, the South African government be talks to the Cameroon government, it no be sincere with the commitment for try to resolve the problem. The American government, their leadership together with the European Parliament, their leadership has been a joint sponsored venture supported by the British government. They be succeed for push the thing and make it get an informal conversation within the Security Council. That effort was led by the American, the British, supported by the British and backed by the European Union. So you get two people then we then stand for fight for Ambazonia for Security Council. The United States of America, the European Union, supported, not that it was championed, supported by the United Kingdom. For inside Asia, for November, China, it be offer humanitarian support for Ambazonian internally displaced people through the Cameroon government. But during the submission, say the issue be discussed for the Security Council, China to be vote against, they be stand against them. And during the discussion, they be take a neutral stance. That means they no support Cameroon, they no support Ambazonia, but they be make a statement where they talk to them believe, say this problem no require any international intervention because the problem it threaten the war peace. For Japan, on the other side, Japan it be support the only country where it be support hugely the UNDP reconstruction plan where Paul Biya it be also engaged in. It become with a presidential reconstruction plan. The UNDP it be step on with the own reconstruction plan. Japan are the main sponsor of that program, where it be supported by also 18 other organizations where they be backed by governments but not directly supported by their government. So Japan, it don't always stand for support through humanitarian means. They never take a position, political position on this struggle. India, it don't criticize the Cameroon government during the United Nations Security Council informal talks. They be criticize the Cameroon government and they be talks to the Cameroon government in need to do enough to resolve the crisis. Indonesia, also for that discussion, informal discussion for 2019, Indonesia be called for cooperation between the Cameroon government and the various regional organizations them, and it calls that they must get an inclusive dialogue for resolve the problem. Israel also, it be also a company for Israel, so NGO develop Israel. They be joined together, they be put a petition for the Supreme Court for Israel early on after the humanitarian crisis will be declared, for bar the Israelite government not for continue for support the B, where it be trained by Israelite former retired army officers, and also it will receive direct Israel aid by giving them, donating them used boots and used clothes them where the Cameroon, even their presidential guard they use them. This petition it be accepted, and the Israelite they be done stop any support for Cameroon since 2019. The Israelite government they be just repeat this court judgment during the informal talks, say all their support for Cameroon it be end for 2019. Kuwait, on the other side, it be criticized the Cameroon government, say Cameroon government it no be sincere and they lack the political will for end the war. Belgium, for inside Europe now, Belgium, for early on for the crisis, Belgium it be done always be proactive within the European Union for propose, say me them give support for NGO the way they mediate me they enter for the struggle, and as a result they be done bring for Ambazonia a European Union Organization Institute for help we for mediate and for build our capacity them so that we feel negotiate properly. So Belgium it be friendly to Ambazonia, and during the informal discussion them for the Security Council, they be also call for negotiation as a means to resolve the conflict. France also, it don't condemn the Ambazonia and the attack for the Cameroon military, and it don't call for dialogue. Say not only dialogue for ensure unity for Cameroon. During the informal conversation will be take place with United Nations, France, their position be as say this problem will not and cannot be solved by the military alone, and the Cameroon government must use negotiation and inclusive dialogue to resolve the crisis. German, on the other hand, it be the support the training of Cameroon BSM. They be done stop them for sanction Cameroon against the war in Ambazonia, and during the informal talk for the United Nations, the position for German na say negotiation and dialogue na the only way for resolve this crisis. Another strong country na the Netherlands. The Netherlands it be also be part of those who they be push the European Union in particular for engage with the Americans for support the problem make it be supported for the Security Council. So on the record now the Netherlands for inside Europe it be the support that idea specifically. Say me the American then push the struggle make it enter Security Council for inside United Nations. Norway, you get the Norwegian Refugee Council, when a very renowned organization where they always inform the Norwegian government their positions on diplomatic issue concerning crisis around the globe. It also it be done stand for call for intervention for the Security Council. So the Norway government it be also support along the Netherlands, the European Union effort make this problem it go for the United Nations Security Council. Poland also during the conversation for the inside the United Nations Security Council informal conversation, it be also criticized the Cameroon government for lack of sincerity and for not doing enough to resolve the crisis. Russia voted against the problem being submitted to the Security Council and was against such international intervention during the conversation of the informal talks in the United Nations Security Council. The Russian government opposition against Ambazonia is very clear. They actually put out a warning during the informal conversation against any foreign intervention in Cameroon. I think that is reflected in Cameroon Paul Biya visiting Russia during the African summit, even against the advice of the French. And we have also seen the support coming from the BRICS and armored car being supplied to Cameroon from South Africa. Sweden also now one strong country where it don't always push for the Security Council. They be support the European Union security move for push the crisis for the Security Council, and their permanent representative for the United Nations they often talk positively about Ambazonia and for pushing me Cameroon be me the matter go for Security Council. Switzerland it be offered the Swiss mediation through the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs. They be done appoint a special envoy for the problem, but that process as well it become for nothing. So Switzerland is support diplomatic engagement. For the informal conversation, Switzerland it be criticized Cameroon. The United Kingdom, as you know already, their for African Affairs Harriet Baldwin it be done call for the conflict for be a diplomatic push. That means they meet already get a proper diplomatic engagement with the Cameroon government for stop the war. During the informal conversation in the Security Council, the United Kingdom criticized Cameroon for specific human rights violation. It means that they already make a very good case. So United Kingdom now definitely a friendly country. The Vatican City as well, it be also offer for act as a mediation. That means the Pope it be very concerned about the crisis. It be highly engaged. The Pope is highly engaged, I can assure our people, with this crisis, and they have always offered their office to be a mediator to try to facilitate and encourage other state members them for carry state actions that can resolve the crisis. The Canadian government as well, he also be in support of international engagement to resolve the crisis and supported actions to bring this matter to the Security Council, and have been very critical of the Cameroon government, at the same time critical of the Ambazonian side as well. The Canadian government have facilitated discussions within their parliament about our problem. So it's a country that stands also for mediation for the crisis and have offered to mediate between the warring parties. The Dominican Republic also, during the submission for the United Nations, also they be support me the thing it go for the Security Council. It will be in their position, they be support the Americans. Naturally, Dominican Republic, they be very supportive for the American, their efforts. So they will be, it will be natural, but during their statements, they also be criticize the Cameroon government and their method of handling the crisis. So Dominican Republic then be in support, me the matter be submitted for the Security Council. The United States, of course, we also know, say their government be very proactive and then be very spot on about what will happen for Ambazonia. As soon as 2017, the United States Department for States Country Reports on Human Rights Practices, it will detail Cameroon arbitrary killing of people with specific cases, then detailed cases of disappearance, torture, violation of freedom of expression, unlawful detention, harsh prison condition. For 2018, the United States formally accused Cameroon Army of carrying out targeted killing. In November 2018, following the death of an American missionary, the United States of America issued a statement urging both sides to cease attacks against civilians. The United States have condemned systemic intimidation based on ethnic religion affiliation in Cameroon and have called out Cameroon government against hate speech. And also the United States of America decided to cut over 17 million of its humanitarian aid that they used to support the Cameroon government, and have invited states partner programs to help mediate within the struggle. The cable, the way it show for the United Nations, it shows that the American government, they began put out a statement for March 2019 for the Cameroon government, asking them to grant autonomy to the Ambazonian or the so-called Anglophone region and release all political prisoners. The reply will become for that statement from Rene Sadi. It will be say Cameroon will respect human rights and say Cameroon will protect its territorial integrity against secessionist terrorists. American government be the most powerful government, the most strongest government where they push Cameroon to resolving the crisis. Donald Trump, he began move Cameroon for AGOA, a prestigious beneficiary program where they help the Cameroon government. But for 2021, things have been turned a little bit as the American government, through the Joe Biden administration, it be imposed visa ban on people the way they believe saying that they undermine any effort for negotiation, specifically targeting Dr. Cho Ayaba with visa restriction and some Cameroon officials that have not been made public. So fellow Ambazonians, that is a brief international engagement and the various countries them, their statements them, and their position regarding our war. I hope say this will inform our people them about our strategic moving forward, and also for empower them with knowledge. Knowledge is power for man way in know, and we'll continue for unroll the package while they bring up for our people them about what did happen internationally, our prospect, what we can do, how we can maximize our opportunities and chances to make progress towards our right, our goal of independence, and in exercising our right of self-determination. We must be smart, we must be wise. For this world, nothing comes easy, nothing is for free, no manna will fall from heaven. We are the miracles hands that God has given our own people. Our ability to move as a nation will require us to act wisely, and these are part of our engagement towards that effort. God bless you all. Capo Daniel, looking out for you. Signing off.